What's going on, y'all? Okay, look. I'm so fucking happy. My Tuesday nights are, you know, back to normal, okay? Because we got the haves and the have-nots season 4. Wait, season 4. Put up too many. Bitch. Okay, this is season 4, episode 1, Waters Run Deep. And let me say, this was cool. This was a good opening or whatever. It kept my attention. You know, if you don't remember what happened last season, at the end of last season, basically Wyatt gave up everybody, okay, for immunity. And you gotta remember, Wyatt was in trouble for, hitting that little girl and that old, was it the little girl and the old man? He hit two people, but the little girl wound up dying, I believe. And he was in trouble for that. And so basically, the Princess of Zamunda, the DA, she came over there and she was like, I give you immunity if you give me your parents. And he was like, I give you my parents because I don't give a fuck about them. Because, he's still pissed off at the fact that they left him in jail and he got his booty raped. So I would be too. So I understand that much. But, sometimes we do stuff out of anger and we try to get revenge and we really don't really think about it all the way through. And that's Wyatt. And you look at Wyatt and you can tell he's not the smartest crayon in the bunch. Okay, he's not the brightest. He probably semi the dullest. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't think this all the way through. He did not think this all the way through. We will get to that, but he didn't think that all the way through. So we get to Veronica and well, no, let's start at the beginning. Then last season, Quincy was coming after Candace. Quincy been coming after Candace since forever, since he got out of jail and since she took the little boy or whatever. And when she came to Candace, Jeffrey was there, walked in on him. They got into a fight, because Quincy kind of fucked up Jeffrey earlier in the season, And then so he got his little revenge, and Jeffrey was just over it, and he stabbed him up and all that stuff. This motherfucker was like, oh my God, is he dead? I was like, nigga, yeah. I mean, you just took a machete. You macheted the fuck out his back. Yes, that motherfucker is dead. And Candace was like, girl, yeah, he dead. He was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God, what are we going to do? That is a dead body. What are we gonna do? I said, what you gonna do is you gonna chuck this shit up, bruh. Okay, you go, ooh, okay? You gonna stop it. Cut it, cut it, cut. No. Bring your ass back and let me have this talk with you. Child, I said, Candace, put him in line. Put him in line because he's gonna get y'all fucked up. Any other person, technically what he did and what they did, it was self-defense. It was self-defense, but being that it's Candace and all that shit and she into so much stuff, that's why she didn't want to call the goddamn cops because all her shit's gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I look so tired. Oh. Anyway, fuck that. God don't give a shit. I don't come on here to be cute. Somebody tried to say that. Girl, get the fuck. Anyway. So he trying to tell Jeffrey to chill out. I don't know what to do. We gotta call the cops. I said, Jeffrey, if you don't shut your mouth up, sit down and take a breath, okay? Sit down and take a breath. Now, usually I advise you call the cops, but Candace was like, this ain't gonna help, okay? I took law. It ain't gonna work in our favor. For the simple fact, they ain't gonna believe you because one, it's a bunch of niggas up in this house and niggas killing niggas, they really just don't give a shit. And second of all, Jeffrey, you did a lot. She was like, bitch, this gonna be a crime of passion. You did excessive force. And I was like, she's saying some shit that I remember when I took that law class in school. I was like, yes. Exceeded excessive force because you stabbed the fuck, okay? They was like, they gonna count how many fucking stab wounds and all this stuff. I said, that's true. Okay, Candace was like, I know how these fucking law. I went to law school. I know how they work, okay? Prosecutors and all. I know how they work. All right, they're going to try to trip us up and, your little punk ass is going to just fall for it, So I'm trying to look out for you as well as me, mostly me, but you too, because you tagging along because you kind of saved my life. So, okay, I'm going to look out for you too. But, bitch, you're not going to fuck this up. She was like, he gonna say so, call my daddy. I said, first of all, your daddy is long gone right about now. He ain't of a help, call him. This number is no longer in service. That's what it's gonna get, okay? Because he just can't get in contact with you right about now. She was like, girl, no, because then he gonna go talk to Jim, and Jim, he put this shit up in play or whatever the fuck. He's dirty and all this stuff. Oh, my dad wouldn't do this, but your mama will. He was like, you right about that. And then she was like, so we just gonna sit and we gonna chill for a second. Mind you, this whole time they got Tika standing there looking like Carrie's blood, the pig guts just done fell all over her like in Carrie and said, I was like, wipe that stuff off your face, you know. I'm sitting here and my sister came up in here and was like, you know, you don't know what this motherfucker got, okay? And y'all just sitting around with the blood all on yourselves and stuff. And I'm like, it looked like the blood kind of went in y'all mouths, probably went up your nose and all your little orifices and stuff. And I'm like, I'm hope he clean and y'all ain't catch nothing from this because y'all showing up letting this shit dry all up in your skins and getting in your pores and stuff, you know. And I was just like, go clean that shit up. Girl, next thing you know, Candace turned her back and all she hear is, yes, 911. I said, bitch, Candace, fuck him up. Fuck him up. Knock that goddamn phone out of his hand. So basically, Candace was like, we ain't finna do that. We ain't finna do that. He was like, why? We killed somebody. I said, don't bitch out. You bitching out, okay? I understand you may never kill nobody. Listen, I'm talking like I done did this shit before. Let me stop playing because I ain't never did that. I probably would have been acting the same way, but then again, I'd probably be like, you know, the severity of the situation. I don't want to go to jail. Cops out here ain't playing fair. Quincy was already a one. Girl, don't nobody give a fuck about Quincy but his sister. They ain't even thinking about that shit right then and there. I would have been like, girl, fuck all that. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I killed somebody. Oh my god. Okay, I'm over it. Somebody give me go give me a saw. Come on, give me the saw. You want me? I'm ready to do this now. You better hurry up before my adrenaline say stop, okay? Give me that saw. Give me that bag. Give me that. Go get some lighter fluid. Let's go do something, okay? I look at Snap, you know, but they always get caught, so that's not a good reference. But anyway, that was that. And I said, Jeffrey, chill the fuck out. I said, Candace, go call war. Go call war, okay? You know, or somebody in the hood, but then again, she can't pay him because, she ain't got no money. But anyway, I was sitting here the whole time thinking, how the fuck, what type of neighborhood does Candace live in that, I mean, is it a gated community? Is it one of those communities where the houses are so spaced out or, you know, the neighbors actually stay to themselves and they don't be nosy, that they didn't hear what the fuck was going on? Because I'm like, all this struggling, ain't nobody come out saying, oh my God, what's going on? And they don't hear this fighting. You know, if you live in the hood, everybody hear you fighting or whatever. They be looking out the window and standing on their porch like, bitch, they over there doing it again. You know, but it wasn't nothing like that. But then we see next week it is gonna be a nosy neighbor that's gonna say because the cops was outside. Girl, we fast forward. Jeffrey up there tripping out. Candace about to get the garbage bag to go ahead and chop Quincy up or whatever. First of all, she opened up that garbage bag like, bitch, I can't. I gotta move his body. I was like, his whole body ain't finna fit up in that bag. I hope you finna do something. Cause then at one point when she was trying to move the body, she was like, help me put the bag over his head. I said, what? You think the garbage bag is like Barney's Barney bag or some shit, Mary Poppins book bag or some shit, and you could just put the body in there and it's just gonna all magically fit? Bitch, you gotta get messy in that thing. I watch too much TV because, you know, it just that's what happens. And then here comes Jeffrey. He just loses it. He was like, no. He runs upstairs, take his shirt off. I was like, Pet's just bumping and stuff. I said, okay, Jeffrey. Point, 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 point. And you know, he was like, I can't do this. He was like, Candace said, take a shower, calm yourself down, and we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get this done. And that's when Jeffrey notices that the cop cars was outside, the lights and stuff. So we're gonna see the continuation of that next week. Mind you, Jeffrey was on that phone. Candace had broke that phone and was like, bitch, they can track us. They can fucking track us. And I said, them GPS, they'll be the death for you, bitch. Yes, they will. And sure enough, Quincy's phone is underneath the couch ringing. Who on the phone? His sister saying, bitch, did you get Benny yet? I said, girl, shut up. You're incriminating yourself too. You're incriminating yourself too. You just don't understand. I mean, you've been in the drug game. You look like you've been in the streets and all that stuff. You should know the talking code, okay? I mean, I'm pretty sure you saw The Wire. Anyway, or at least State Property too. You know, y'all out here throwing parties and shit. You know, that codes for fucking up. Girl, that's my motherfucking move. State Property. Beans, nigga. Beanie Siegel lost a lot of motherfucking weight. I'm finna be just like him too. Y'all gonna be like, damn, bitch. And I'll be like, yes, ho. But anyway, moving on from that. That was them. So I'm just get this little stuff. Benny calls Hannah. Hannah's still at the little Roach Motel with Quincy Jr. sleep in her crown and glory or whatever. She's still in her feelings about Benny being on the side of Candace. He was like, Mama, she lied to me and I fucking believed it. You can't be really pissed off. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. She was like, well, it's Candace. You should have fucking known. It's your sister. I said, that is kind of true. But damn, Hannah let up a little bit. You know, he trying to apologize and he was like, I talked to a lawyer. She said, bitch, what lawyer? Miss Harrington. Oh, fuck this shit. I said, Hannah put that phone down like, I ain't got time. Okay, what did she say? What did she say, Benny? She said that the deeds and everything is legit. So I own that tow truck company. And all I gotta do is make it work. I can make it work and get some money or whatever, because I know you ain't got no money. I said, first of all, Benny, you ain't have to put her on Front Street like that. He said, because you don't get paid until the next 2 weeks. I said, damn, Benny, put her business out there like that. But after that, you know, he was like, Mama, bring your ass over to the house. No, I don't want to go to that house. Okay, that's the house that evil got. All right, that house is evil. I said, bitch, this is not Amityville Horror House. Okay, chill out with that evil stuff. You just got your pride in the way, and you just don't, you don't like your daughter. That's fine. I understand that, but chill out just a little bit. I mean, come on, we gotta set our pride aside a little bit. But then again, you gotta think, what if something do happen that the house get taken away? All of a sudden, Hannah be like, okay, yeah, I'ma come, and then they can't pay for it, or they just come and snatch it up because, I mean, this is a soap opera, so anything like that's just bound to happen. And I was like, okay, Hannah, you do what you gotta do. You gonna do you. You do just I let her do her. Like, Mama, okay, whatever. It is what it is. He told her the social worker know that the house burned down. Okay, so girl, you gotta come up with something. I said everybody in this show is in some deep shit. Okay, the waters run fucking deep. They in some deep shit. I'm like, ooh, how y'all gonna get out of this stuff? Then moving on to the last subplot of the show. The last arc of the show. Am I saying this stuff right? It's been such a long time. Remember back in school when you had to have the plot, the arc, the, all this other bullshit up in reading and reading comprehension and all this stuff. And then you had to, with the sentence, the predicate, what is it, conjunction and, all this other bullshit. Girl, anybody got time for that? Just put the sentence together. If it sound right, sound right. But I mean, do have noun and verb agreement. I do remember that. Bitch, listen, let me stop. Go back on subject. Y'all like, we didn't ask for a lesson. I know. So they get to the jail, and we start off with Veronica and Catherine at the police desk or whatever, where they finna check them in, about to do the fingerprints and all that stuff. So the guard, she just ain't here for him. She got all this motherfucking animosity right off the rip, right? I was like, damn, what Veronica did? I know Veronica a bitch, but what? Did she put your cousin up in jail or some shit? What the fuck happened? Because she was coming out really strong. And then, they doing all this stuff and yada, yada, yada talking, and Veronica just sitting there like, bitch, okay. And then Veronica starts, because she was like, take your jewelry off. Is this real? And then she was like, this right here, it's 11 karat, and I want this back. And this right here, 14 karat. And then that's when the guard was like, so is all this real? She was like, of course. And she was like, but your hair ain't. I said, what? You do not diss a black woman hair like that. She was like, it ain't real. It's a wig. Take that shit off and put it in the bag. I'm waiting. I said, Veronica, you gonna do it? Veronica was like, okay, bitch, I got you. I said, what? Catherine was looking like, oh my, your hair look like that? You do that to your hair? I didn't even know you had hair underneath that. That's how you black people do that stuff. I'm telling you, that's how she was looking. And then Veronica, they got off of her, and then they went over there to Catherine and was like, Catherine, put your jewelry and all that stuff in the bag. Bitch, you got a girdle on, take your shoes off. Catherine was like, girl, I ain't got no damn girdle on. I said, She was like, yes, you do. She was like, no, it's Spanx. That's how she was giving her attitude. It ain't no girdle. It's called Spanx. That's how she was giving her attitude. And she was like, take it off. And then Catherine was like, well, bitch, where I'm going to take it off at? Can I get a bathroom or some shit? The guy said, bitch, we don't get special privileges. You take that shit off right here. I said, Embarrassing. And then Catherine went on ahead and took it off, and all that stuff, and um they did the same thing for David, and Jim had them in the cell, told them to take their belts and shoes off, told them to bend over and call, put their hands on the wall and call. I said, ooh, cavity shirt. Okay, and they had this little conversation. Now, Princess Zamunda, the DA lady, she came up in there and she was talking to the bailiff, the guard girl, and she was like, I want you to hold off for giving them a phone call as much as you can. She was like, girl, I can't do that. She was like, I ain't telling you not to. I'm telling you to hold off as much as you can. Because Veronica was like, because Catherine said, how long we going to be up in here? She was like, well, the DA bitch, she know what the fuck she doing because she waited until Friday night after all the judges go home to do this shit. So basically, it's gonna be hard to get in contact with a judge. We're gonna be here over the weekend until Monday. And I was like, that bitch ain't playing with y'all right about now. She has a vendetta to get against y'all. And I was like, I'm here for it, because I just want to see the drama. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. And then the DA lady was like, go ahead and put them in the same cell. Oh, girl said, girl, we can't do that co-ed shit. And she was like, that ain't what I'm talking about, girl. You know what I'm talking about. Put Veronica and Catherine in the same cell and put Jim and David in the same cell. And let's see the discussion that they have amongst each other. Oh, girl said, they too smart to be incriminating themselves like that. And it was like, you never fucking know. They smart, but look at what they at now. I was like, girl, I get you. I get you. So the DA got this little plan coming up, right? Using the kids and all that stuff, and they trying to call Jeffrey. Jeffrey ain't answering the fucking phone because the phone is fucked up. I was like, oh shit, don't fuck up the plan. So they calling Wyatt and shit. The DA, she go over there talking to Wyatt. Wyatt talking about some, and this is where I come back to saying that Wyatt didn't think this all the way through. Now, you talking, because he was like, I'm scared. Basically, this bitch is scared. He's scared. Wyatt, you're scared, and I understand, because your daddy, he crazy, okay? This motherfucker put a hit out on Veronica. Listen, Veronica getting arrested saved her ass a fucking bullet, okay? From tasting lead. It really did. So thank him for that. But, even though she deserved it, but thank him for that. So, basically, he was like, girl, I need somewhere to stay. I'm not going to be here by Monday. He was like, I'm going to put you in a safe house. No, he was like, because you ain't got no money. You ain't got nowhere else to go. And I said, see, listen, Wyatt, you should have been stacking away or somehow trying to get some money from somewhere. Where the fuck you going to go? Like, nigga, come on. This is what I'm talking about. You ain't thinking all the way through. Like, I know you want to get revenge, but damn, you got a revenge too quick, You ain't thinking all the way through. Then he talked about some, he got this inheritance money that his grandfather or grandparents or whatever left to him, and it got signed over to the parents to take control of it because he had the little substance abuse problem and he wasn't in the right frame of mind at the time to use it and all that stuff. So it was like, all I gotta do is prove to the judge that, I'm clean, I can do a drug test, and I got the rehab papers. Okay, she falling for it. All right. Mind you, this motherfucker, when she leaves, gets on the phone trying to call Jeffrey and was like, I need you to go in your mama's office and get some papers. I said, so you ain't really got the papers and you finna forge some shit. Come on now. Come on now. So you can take your ass to jail where you really need to be. Okay. Let's not forget why you did kill somebody. Okay. Back in Jim and David's cell, they having this discussion. Jim is over David because he like, bitch, your wife is a bitch. Your wife is this. And you standing by that bitch. David was like, you call my wife a bitch again, I'm going to come up and put my foot up your ass. And I was like, oh, David, how come you can't be that stern to your wife? And it did something to me a little bit. I'll admit that. I was like, but then it kind of it just went away when he was like, because your wife had my son raped in prison after what he'd been through, and she knew. And then David tried to play dumb like he didn't know that was what Veronica was up to. And I was like, then why did you tell Jim to get him out the jail because something went right? And that's exactly what Jim said. I said me and Jim was thinking about the same question. All right, for once we was thinking the same damn thing. And then he was like, I didn't know. And I was like, David, swear your hand for God. You better stop playing. You better stop playing. And she was like, why you keep on standing up for this bitch? Because she a bitch. Because I love her. And this is what it is when you love someone. You don't know what that feels like. He was like, I only love one person, and that's below my pants line. I said, look, we ain't talking about your dick right about now, Jim. Okay, so we don't want to put that away. Okay, put little Jimmy away and get back to what we're talking about. And I'm sitting here like, David, love is blind, and baby, you are in great denial. I understand you taking this for better or worse shit to the heart, and you really do love your wife. But the question is, would she do all this and stand for you? Hell no, bitch. She tried to kill you. She tried to kill you. Ah. But and David know Jim. David know Jim and knew that he was up to something because he said, whatever it is that you got going on for my wife, you better call it off. Jim hurried up and said on cue without acting or like without being caught up like, oh, what do you mean? He was like, nigga, what you talking about? He was like, okay, Jim, I see you. Let something happen to my wife. You gonna see what's gonna happen. You gonna make an enemy that you ain't never known before. I was like, okay, David. It was kind of weak, but I kind of felt it just a little bit. I wasn't scared about it. I wasn't like, ooh, shaking like, damn, David. I was like, okay, David, that's cute. You tried. But anyway, after that, we get to Maggie. Maggie in there with Landon, in the office. She was like, girl, why you here? We need to get on the phone and get this and get that. Landon like, bitch, it's over with. Jim ain't running. David ain't running. Oh, yeah, David finna get out. Oh, no, they ain't coming back, bitch. Mind you, this is only supposed to be picking up from the very same day. Landon head and grew overnight. Okay, it and grew overnight or over this season because he got some length and he had a little bob right there. I was like, that's what looked different about him. Okay, a little messy ass. So Maggie all up in her feelings. She want David, and he was like, I want David just like you want Jeffrey. And he was like, girl, get out of here. She was like, did you sleep with him? Did you sleep with David? Oh, you slept with him. No, I did not sleep with David, but bitch, let me tell you something. We got to get the wife out the way. Fuck that bitch because she did try to cover up her, did all this stuff trying to cover up the fact that her son committed a murder or participated in murder. I said, nope, wrong thing. That did not happen. It was Wyatt. But anyway, we gonna try to get him into the Senate, and then we can get him to the presidency. I said, oh, bitch, you dreaming big, Maggie. You dreaming big for your non-existent man. Okay? You dreaming big for a man that won't claim you. You should be on Love and Hip Hop. Come on, Mariah Lynn. That's what you are. You thirsty as fuck for David. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, girl, at least you consistent. I dislike, and I had to tweet that. I dislike Maggie for that because she too damn thirsty. But I love the fuck out of her because she stands the shit up to Veronica and her shit. Like, she ain't scared. She told Landon, get your ass up. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I'm gonna call in this favor, whatever, and I want you to leak this story about his wife fucking around with his her clients and all this stuff and how she be doing dirty, whatever. He was like, what picture? She gave him the picture of Veronica fucking Benny. I said, Landon was like, oh, being the messy motherfucker he is, and he can't stand Veronica. Like, ching ching, checkpot. Okay, we got this bitch, but are you sure? Because they gonna come after you, bitch. They gonna come after you, girl. And then Maggie was like, put the motherfucker out there. I said, come on, Maggie. Come on, Maggie. You just redeemed yourself. After you thirsted so much over David, you just redeemed yourself for a second in my eyes. I said, there you go. Stand your ground, bitch. If anything, you a consistent bitch. I will give you that help. But we're going to see how shit goes. We're going to see how that shit goes. Did I miss anything, y'all? If I did, put it down in the comments. I was thoroughly enthused and enjoyed it and excited. And it is what it is. I love it. I'm glad that the season is back. I hope it gives me everything that I want. I want to be all energized and hyped up in this motherfucker when I do my reviews. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about it. And I will see y'all later. Peace. I'm finna go watch Zoe After Ever. Zoe Ever After. I actually liked the first episode. I already saw it online. But y'all go check that out on BET. Shout out to Brandy. Peace.